Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in today's episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client who was also working in mental health. They were a counseling psychologist and felt that they should be more motivated, more passionate, more enthusiastic about their work than they actually were. And what was really fascinating about this particular client is that a lot of the evidence around them was that they were great at their work, having a good impact, but there was this what if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm not helping? What if I should be doing more? And that was actually dampening their enthusiasm. The reason they became a psychologist was because they wanted to have an impact and help people. But the nature of doing therapy quite often is that you don't actually get to see the results of what you do. You know, it's happening in the lives of the client that you're working with. So this was causing a cycle of ever-decreasing levels of enthusiasm and passion, leading them to even question whether they should be doing that. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is an element of activating the resource states that they needed most: enthusiasm, passion, determination, motivation, and releasing the doubts and insecurities that they weren't doing enough. And it also uses elements of time, and using elements of time is one of my favorite things to play with, because they could recall a time in their past where they were really passionate and enthusiastic. So we go back to that moment, rekindle, reactivate those resource states, and then consider three different futures. A future where they continue but don't really feel passionate about what they do, and giving it the meaning that they're doing an injustice to their clients, their patients. The second timeline is to quit and do something else. And then that future pace is this idea of how many people could they have helped but didn't. And that inverse is this idea of not doing enough. It's kind of like, well, if you did nothing, then how many people's lives would be worse off? And then the third timeline, which is obviously the most desirable timeline, is to activate feelings of motivation, passion, enthusiasm for the work that they do, and feel and believe that they're making an impact, which then gives them even more motivation. And I could really resonate with this, because one of the key things that keeps my enthusiasm and motivation so high for therapy is two key things. One, a belief that I'm actually doing something that the world wants. And I would say the audience numbers of my podcast give me that evidence, and getting messages either from listeners or clients as to the impact of my work, that does that. So when it's really feeling I'm making a difference. But also the second key thing is I have the benchmark so low. When I actually became a therapist that had a podcast, I had this ultra low metric, and that is, if I could just help one person, then it's all worthwhile. And by having that metric so low, it means that any evidence that I'm doing it for more than one feels like I'm exceeding my own expectations. And there's a phrase that I use a lot, and that is to make the game winnable. And a lot of people, whether it's they call it perfectionism, they frame it that if they could have done slightly more, then they didn't do enough. And that is not true. But by framing it that way, actually dampens and even strangles the very motivation needed to do the very thing that they would want to do. So this session is all about activating passion and enthusiasm, particularly in their industry, to help people. But I would say this session would be helpful for anyone that wants to feel more passionate about what they do, because whatever you do, the way that society is structured is that you get valued for having some kind of impact in some way. If you create art, you're enriching the lives of other people. If you, let's say, help people get mortgages, you're giving people financial freedom or the ability to have their own home and not be the victim of ever-increasing rents. Like, whatever you do has a positive impact. So I would encourage you, because this session was created for someone in the world of psychology and therapy, I would encourage you to think of what would it take for you to be really, really passionate about what you do, and then consider these timelines. And it may be that actually you are better off doing something else that you're actually passionate about rather than doing something that you're not. But equally, it's possible that you could get passionate about what you're already doing. And these are the things to think about in this session so that you make it super relevant for you. This was created for a psychologist, and therefore, in order to get the best of this, make it relevant for you. But if you do feel like a bespoke session may be helpful for you, then there is the option to click a link in the show notes or visit my website, adamcox.co.uk, schedule a free consultation call with me over Zoom, and we can explore working together. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a feeling of calmness, and as you exhale, release any feelings of tension. And as you breathe in and breathe out, just allow your body to do the breathing for you. Don't will it, force it, but equally, don't stop it. And if your body wants to breathe deeper, allow it. And if your body wants to breathe slower and longer, allow it. And perhaps imagine that you're breathing in a wonderful feeling of resourcefulness. And you know the resources that would be most useful. And while relaxation is a resource, so is passion, enthusiasm, motivation. So as you breathe in, imagine breathing in whatever resources you want most, and exhaling the opposite. And maybe the opposite of passion and enthusiasm isn't negativity, it's apathy. Allow whatever is holding you back to be released and to feel it leave your body as you exhale. I want you to get a sense that there's certain things that you hold to be true, and you don't need evidence to believe them. You believe that the sun will rise tomorrow, even if you don't see the sunrise. And you may believe you have a good friendship, even if you haven't spoken to that friend for a while. And for many of your beliefs, you will believe them unless there is a good reason not to believe them. So as you breathe in and breathe out, just allow yourself to believe that what you do is important. What you do is necessary. And what you do has a positive impact on other people. And as you believe that, allow the opposite beliefs to fade away, because they were never beliefs. They were just doubts and insecurities. So allow them to melt away as you feel that you're becoming deeper and deeper relaxed. With every breath you take, you feel your body becoming more relaxed. And maybe you notice how your shoulders feel lighter, your jaw releasing any tension. Maybe your eyelids feel heavier. Maybe there is a tingling sensation perhaps in a finger, a toe, or somewhere else. Allow your attention to drift inwards as you feel the rhythm of your breath as it naturally slows, guiding you deeper and deeper into a wonderful state of calm relaxation. And with each exhale, imagine those doubts not just melting away, but as they melt away, leaving your body. They're not in you anymore. And as they leave your body, feel calmer, your mind lighter. And as you continue to relax, I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a long path in nature. It could be a trail, a footpath. And imagine yourself standing by the edge of that path, seeing the path go to your left and then go to the right, as you start to imagine that this is a path that represents time. To your left is your past, and to your right is your future. So let's go backwards on the path first. And as you step onto the path, allow yourself to float and allow your mind to take you back to a moment when you felt most enthusiastic, most motivated, passionate, or committed about helping others. Maybe it was a specific client you were working with, maybe a friend that needed help, or maybe learning something new. Maybe it was a time when you were first inspired to do what you now do, or a moment where you felt deeply connected to the impact of your work. That time you really felt you did make a difference. Just trust your unconscious mind to guide you to the exact moment. And when you're there, let me know by nodding your head. And feel like you're now stepping into that memory. And notice what you see, hear, and feel in this moment. Where you were, what you were doing, who else is around you. And maybe you can feel that enthusiasm, that inspiration, that motivation reawakening, amplifying. Maybe you can feel a sense of purpose, mission, or excitement. Maybe there was a time where something clicked, where you said to yourself, this is what I want to do, this is what I am meant to do. And just allow those positive feelings to grow stronger, brighter, amplify them all. And notice where in your body you feel that feeling of passion or enthusiasm. And either point to it or just make a mental note of where it is. Picture a color in that location and make the color brighter. Notice if the color is moving, and if it is, make it move even more. If it spins, rotates, pulsates, increase the frequency as you feel that emotion becoming more intense. And maybe it's linked to an idea, a thought, a belief. I can help people. I can change someone's life. I can make a difference. And when you find the idea or thought connected to that feeling, dial up the volume of that inner dialogue and say it with absolute certainty just to yourself. And when you've done that, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And if this is the past, let's take those feelings, but go forwards on the path now, where that pathway seems to split into 3 different new pathways. Perhaps it looks like a crossroads, or maybe they just split off like a tree branch going into 3 different directions. And let's explore one of those futures. First, imagine a future where you continue in your role but maybe feel disengaged or unmotivated. Feelings of doubts or apathy. But observe this version of you. See what happens if this timeline continues. Maybe see a future where your lack of enthusiasm gets read by a client or a patient, and they become disengaged, reading from your unconscious cues. Maybe there's one client that could have opened up but never does. A client that you could have impacted but don't quite do it. Follow that timeline. And in that timeline, see that you are doing an injustice to yourself and your clients. I want you to get a sense that there might be emotions connected to that future. Regret, monotony, that feeling of being on a hamster wheel, just going through the motions. See what you see, Notice what you notice, and notice that that version of you isn't as happy as you could be. And if this unlocks a desire to change that, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. So go back to where the pathway splits into 3, and let's follow another pathway. A pathway where you decide if you can't be passionate and enthusiastic, you don't want that. And see yourself quitting that career, that profession, and doing something new. And see what the actual consequences of that kind of decision would have. Maybe it gives your life less flexibility. Maybe there's less income. Maybe that's also not fulfilling, but just in a different way. Follow that timeline. And maybe it's simpler, easier, you feel more competent doing it. But also, maybe notice it's not quite as rewarding, not quite as stimulating, less things to learn and get better at. And imagine getting to the end of that timeline, taken to a waiting room, and being shown thousands of people you could have helped but didn't. Lives that became worse because you weren't there to make a difference. Maybe see or hear stories of tragedies, hopelessness. And maybe you start to think if you can stop just one of those tragedies from happening, that's enough. You don't have to change every single person. But if you can make a difference to just 1 or 2 or 3 extra lives, whether you knew about it or not, if there's a part of you that wants to make that difference, let me know by nodding your head. So go back to that path where it splits into 3 and see that there is a third path. Seems to be glowing. And this pathway is a pathway that you see yourself absolutely certain you're making a difference. See that future where you have enthusiasm. The challenging clients are an opportunity to learn. Clients or patients, particularly younger ones that are disengaged, is an opportunity to hone your rapport building skills. See that version of you where you're taking your qualities like empathy, consideration, kindness, and infusing it into what you do, not separating it. That when things go well, you get the wins, and when things don't, you get the wisdom. See that version of you where, as the weeks and months go by, you're getting better and better because you're going all in. You're putting yourself into the role, not simply doing the role. It becomes a part of your identity and your destiny. This is your purpose, a mission to help, to impact. And you come to a conclusion that if you have a life-changing impact, someone in their 60s, it affects the next 20, 30, 40 years of their life. But if you have an impact in a child, a teenager, or a young adult that could ripple through their life forever, even impacting future generations. See yourself embracing your role, stimulated by it. See yourself brimming with enthusiasm and passion. Maybe you recognize that every session, every interaction is an opportunity to create positive change. And maybe in this future, you've learned to see the absence of negative feedback as positive feedback. Knowing that your client's return is a sign of the value you bring. And step into that future timeline. Even the most challenging or disengaged of clients feels appealing to you. And maybe you can imagine waking up feeling motivated, inspired, and confident in your ability to make a difference. So take this future for a test drive. Imagine living that way, and if it feels desirable and possible for you, let me know by nodding your head. And as you stand in this future, notice how your enthusiasm grows like a snowball effect. The more passionate and engaged you are, the more impactful your work becomes, and then the more satisfied you feel, which leads to even more motivation and enthusiasm. I want you to imagine a moment in the future, perhaps 1, 2, 3 years from now, working with a particular child, withdrawn, disengaged, anxious, hesitant, and imagine seeing yourself, making them feel so comfortable that they open up. They share something they weren't willing to share. And with that, you're able to help them make one significant change that changes their life forever. Maybe see yourself breaking a cycle. See yourself having the most wonderful impact, and see how it lights you up. Making a difference to others makes you feel energized. See yourself thriving, becoming more skilled, effective, creating a cycle of positivity and success. As you feel the energy, the motivation, and the deep sense of fulfillment radiating through you, feel it there in your chest. This is your future, and it's one you can choose to step into fully by just deciding you don't want anything else but that. And when you come to that conclusion, let me know by nodding your head. So take all those learnings, insights, and positive emotions from this journey and feel that that sensation there in that location isn't temporary. You've just reawakened it. It's always there, you only have to look. I want you to see as you fully commit to that third future, the other two pathways disappear. There is only one future now. A future of passion, impact, and fulfillment. And why would you want anything else? and feel like you're already stepping on that path, that new path, the only path. As you start to return your attention to the present. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect fully with the here and now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling invigorated, enthusiastic, determined to live this purposeful life. Starting to count 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.